We are back. We have a box here. I don't want to give my address away. Yeah, they sent us a box here. Pretty cool. I think I know what this is. They recently I've been talking to Klein about a couple of things and been fairly critical. So I was nervous to find out that they were actually looking at the channel actively. So today I got a message saying that this guy's boss was like, going over the channel, and I was like, oh, we've been really critical on Klein. I hope I hope that doesn't hurt me. But you can't change what the truth is. So if they want to be the best, which I still believe they are the best. If I had to pick one brand, it wouldn't be Vera and it wouldn't be Knipex. If I had to pick one, it would still be Klein. So they've been the best forever, and they continue to make the better stuff. Ideal is just okay, man. I've got a couple of Ideal tools. They had a chance to make something good, and they kind of dropped the ball on it with the handle down here just being completely like there's no meat down here at all. You can make these two touch, right? And I don't know. I'm going to get some more Ideals and review them and see if there's better out there. I think there's a skinnier version of this, so it might be more like the Knipex or something, but Ideal is just okay for some stuff, but not everything. Malco should expand their lineup. Go to any supply house. Yeah, Malco's always been a good option for hand tools, especially for HVAC. And they're just okay, but I haven't had things break premature. Only a couple of things with Klein is really failing prematurely. Somebody mentioned to me about the grip, so I started exploring it, and I had a couple of grips fail on me. So that's kind of what we've been talking about with the Klein grips. But I've only experienced it on 2 different tools. I'm trying to get a list of screwdrivers that the grips do fail on for Klein, and then send them a list, so that way they can get an idea of which ones, because it's not all of the grips. I don't have any Klein screwdrivers behind me yet. So we know this grip here, this grip doesn't fail. It's the grips that are shaped like this. So Klein has a bunch of different styles of grip, and these 2 grips are different. You can see where there's slightly more kind of like a conical shape coming in to finish that off, and this one's not as aggressive for the cone. See the difference there? This grip here tends to have issues. This one here, tried and true. This one here, also more conical. And I probably use these screwdrivers more than anything. These things are bulletproof, man. These are, if you get a chance to get one of these, this is probably the last screwdriver as a homeowner you'll ever have to buy if you're looking to do electrical. This is the best bang for your buck, the best thing that I can recommend from Klein right now. This is great. See here, Buddy shattered his beater and snapped the nut setter in the same week. They were 1 month old. The nut setters, the 9/16 especially, has always had issues kind of snapping. It's whatever they've made it out of. See here, what's up, Alec? We got Owen, we got Preston, John Doe. Let's see here. Get to all the messages. Owen in the chat. We got the 11-1 ratchet and Klein screwdriver based on recommendation. I honestly love that screwdriver. You can't go wrong with a Klein. I had a chance to get my hands on a Linus Tech Tip screwdriver today, and I was in an engineer's house. And I was like, hey, man, let me see that for a second, because he was opening up his ATS for me. And I said, hey, is that the Linus Tech Tip screwdriver? Let me see that thing. And I was looking at it, and the bits are tapered, and the screwdriver is nice. Don't get me wrong. The screwdriver has really nice, what's the word for it? Tolerances, right? And the mechanisms and everything. It has a little bit of slop when you put it into manual mode. There's a slight bit of play in the screwdriver itself. It slides open like the Klein does on the back. And it reminds me more of the Milwaukee one. The way where you've got like a proprietary bit size. And it's only got... it doesn't have the long bits like Klein does. It has the shorter ones. But all the bits are like tapered. And I was kind of surprised to see that for such an expensive, overhyped screwdriver. I was expecting to see the tips made especially for that screwdriver when you're spending that kind of money. So, a little bit upset about that. Showed the hex shank beater you're showing now. Nice. This is a standard screwdriver, not the beater. This thing's probably unshatterable. I've beaten on these for years. What's up, Chris? Baroness headers are great, but the handle is odd. Otherwise, real strong. Yeah, the handle's really odd on all Veras. You like the Linus Tech Tip one? I have two. Like it for your technical work. Yeah. Have I tried the Multi-Pro 15-in-1? Yes, I have. And I've also got the Multi-Pro Mega Pro. Mega Pro or Multi-Pro? Maybe it's the Mega Pro. I've got this screwdriver from Mega Pro. Hard to really want anything else after you get something like this, man. I've been eyeballing that set for 100. There's a limited edition set at my Micro Center that I keep almost buying. And maybe I'll get it next time I go. Because honestly, dude, what Klein sent me here has saved me a bunch of money, because I was going to buy all this stuff anyway. So it was already on my list of things to get. So first off, they sent me a Mod Box backpack. Let me see if I can adjust this. No, I can't. Let me relocate this whole rig back one pipe. So in case you guys didn't know, we built this thing live. It is a 90, 90, 90, 90, kick, 90. So we did this live, measured it all, and then built it. Let me tighten this here. I don't know if this pipe is gonna, whoa. I don't know if this pipe is gonna be in the way, and I've yet to secure it, so I don't know if this is gonna work or not. There we go. Okay, so the pipe is here. Yeah, this will work. Well, yeah, it is good. All right, so we got our backpack here. There's a couple of things about this backpack that I liked initially. I might need to move this camera back one more click here, because we're going to be inside this pipe. There we go. So I was looking at the storage in this, and it makes a lot more sense than even some of the best Vitos. And it's $120 at Lowe's. First off, the way that it opens, it doesn't open like a regular backpack. It stays shut down here. If you guys see that, it doesn't open and just drop your tools to the floor immediately. And then we've got a lot of storage on the back wall, which is going to stop this from flopping forward. A lot of your backpacks have a lot of storage on the front. This thing gets heavy, and then it just wants to open right up. So because this doesn't open up all the way, it actually stays completely flat. And you can fit a lot of things down there, like drills and things. where the base is wide down below and then it gets skinny. So if we take a flex here, you can set this down here and then it gets skinny where it matters, to where everything just kind of closes up in there. So that's one thing I noticed when I was at Lowe's. So I was already going to buy this. Klein reached out and said, send us some SKUs of what you would like. And yeah, I definitely put this thing on the list. It's got some of the smarter storage pockets too. And it's got more useful pockets than your average Vito even. Let me check the chat. Fighting allergies tonight. Way too tall. What's up, Budsville? I think the Klein and we are just too tall comments. Oh, some of the screwdrivers. Depends on what you're doing, man. Some of those breakers, so some of those industrial breakers, the 480s are like that deep. So I can go get you a breaker and I'll show you. This breaker exploded at some point. I used to do infrared, so I've got all kinds of broken breakers. Okay, so we got this breaker here, right? And if you take a standard Vera screwdriver, you can see where you got to go pretty far back there to access the back. So that's the back of the screwdriver there. So this screwdriver is barely long enough. And the further away you are, the better off you are. One of my favorite screwdrivers here, if I have it out. Yeah, this one. Yeah. Well, this is a Knipex. Let me see here. I don't know where my number 2 Vera is, or my number 2 Weha. I got a lot of screwdrivers everywhere. But these fit really nice to where you've got a lot of room to play and do what you got to do. So some screwdrivers are too short, some screwdrivers aren't. Keep in mind, this is like the standard, like smallest screwdriver that you're going to find from Klein. And it's still taller than... I put that down and now I don't know where it is. Let me get, yeah, this one. You can see where this is still shorter than the Klein. And the handles just, the grabbability there. I don't know, man. I'm just not a fan of the Vera handles. They're just too small for me. I've always, probably because I started with Klein, I'm always going to stick with Klein just because I'm used to the handles. But I will say that the cushion is nice for a bunch of reasons. One reason the other day, I had my hands full and I was doing something and I was able to bite the back of the handle like that, you know, and it's not a hard plastic on your teeth, for example. You ever had a flashlight or something trying to hold something and having to bite on metal is not fun. So there's a bunch of reasons why the cushion grip is better. It's almost like a tire, man. The rubber is where it's at. This is more rubber. The Knipex is nice and rubbered. The Weha has nice rubber. These have rubber down here, but they get thin and thick, and they're just weird for me. Hard plastic here. Hard plastic here. And then you got the rubber on the yellow. Let me check the chat here. Too tall, top to bottom. Return the Weha backpack. Oh, you're talking about the backpacks. Too tall. What's up, Rodney? How much weight can it handle? I worked through some backpacks that ended with holes when doing low power service. That stat might be on here. I've used a lot of Klein backpacks in my career. They were kind of the original with the tool backpacks from the early 2000s, right? So I've used a lot of their backpacks. I've used a lot of the Milwaukee backpacks. And these guys know how to make a backpack. I hope they still know how to make a backpack. I think it's cool that they got the little light insert here. And then you can aim that down. I just noticed that. I didn't realize it was on here. I was actually going to show you my other light insert, which I just bought. I was at Micro Center and I was looking at this the other day. And I was using this one live whenever we were in the attic earlier and working on the exhaust fan. And this is cool, but it has USB micro USB. And it rarely ever gets charged. I hate anything that's not USB-C, so I've been slowly switching. And then when I was at Micro Center, I saw this. So I decided to try this out because I don't use this hat every job site I go to, but some job sites I'm required to wear a hard hat. And it's nice to have a light. So this thing here is kind of cool. Not sure how I feel about it, whether it looks kind of dorky or not. But hey, if it works, it works. But it's got dimmable, single, dimmable, and then 360 all the way around. Seems pretty cool. USB-C. And then it's got the battery gauge on the back. Probably be doing a separate review on this once I try it out more to see how it all works. But this light's been kind of cool. This came with my hard hat. So, yeah, this has just been something that's been around, but not used that much until recently. What's up, Forget Your Life? We got Steven Jensen, Jonathan, Jamie True, George Ordway. How much weight can it hold? Rodney. Okay. That's what she said. Almost all your smooths of Klein have involved rubber slipping. It should be infused, weaved into the... yeah, I'd agree with that. They've only got a couple of hold points. The NECA show will be held in Chicago, Illinois from September 12th to 14th. That's pretty cool. Let's get this box open. Let's see what's in here. Paper, more paper. Oh yeah, dude, this is the new one. This is the new toner. I've got some of the best videos on how to use these. And this is the new one. It looks like the toner leads are removable. That's cool. It uses AAA batteries, not 9 volts, which is huge. A lot of your toners and stuff like this use 9 volts, and it's hard to find 9 volts when you're in the wild. So once you get to a job site, you can always rob the batteries out of your customer's remote before you can find a 9 volt handy. Yeah, this looks awesome, dude. This is going to actually replace my need for the Scout. I recently just picked up the Scout, which I can't find right now. Must be in the back of this bag. Yeah. Recently picked up my Scout here. This looks like it's going to do some land testing on here. This isn't more digital though. This might be nice. Let me see here. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I like how everything kind of plugs in and unplugs in the front. The question is, does this have a light? So it's got to have the toning light, and we're going to find out all that here pretty soon. I got to dig into that. And then I had them send me a hammer. Why a hammer? I don't know, dude. I got a thing with milling hammers or drilling hammers, whatever you want to call it. I've driven a lot of ground rods in my life, and this is what I use. So this is the Klein 3-pound little mini sledgehammer. Let's see where it's made. Trying to see if it says where it's made in. It looks nice though, man. It's got the milled waffle face here. It's got the flat side here. But this right here, this is actually a rebar bender. And that should be 1/2 inch. If they know what they're doing, this will be 1/2 inch for UFers. That way you can bend your UFer up. That would be a missed opportunity if that wasn't 1/2 inch. But yeah, this is cool. We're going to be driving a ground rod here pretty soon. It's not as flat as I would think it would be. You'd think it'd be a little bit flatter for a better hit. But it feels like a pretty good hammer. It's got the flare out on the bottom. Looks good. We're going to try it out. We're going to see if it's any good or not. I'll know if it's good within the first couple of hits. The flex is good because it won't, you know, jar your hand. So it's good. It has a little bit of flex in there too. I've got a crescent hammer that I bought the other day. Time will tell. We're going to try this thing out. And then we got a packing slip. And that's it. Check the chat. Is that Thor's hammer? Could be. What's up, Make with Mike? That's great. Now you have to hand me down to 7. Yeah. That's a beauty. Get coax and phone. I have the Scout Pro 3. Yes, the Scout Pro 3 is very nice. I've only ever owned the Ethernet. Klein sucks. I don't do a whole lot of Ethernet, so this is about as advanced as I've ever had to get, is just line up the numbers. As a technician, you would actually be surprised how a company is willing to send their technicians out with almost zero training to go run a phone line, dude. I was straight out of construction company. Had no idea about phones, Ethernet, nothing. They always sub that out to a different contractor. So I'm building ground up museums. I'm building ground up, you know, hospitals, stadiums, data centers, things like that, all electrical, right? Large wire. And this isn't even that large. This is only 350. Large wire though. And yeah, they sent me out to go add a coax, dude. That was like baptism by fire, dude. I didn't know what the heck I was doing, crimping a coax or running a phone line. Had to figure that out pretty quick. So if this tool can help you make money, it's good enough for the basics, I promise you. You're just lining up numbers, and I'd recommend you guys get the pass-through. Get the pass-through Ethernets, especially if you're a novice. You can pull the cables all the way through the connector, and then when you crimp them, they automatically cut off. You can see clearly what all of them are. And yeah, this comes in handy. I had the Scout 2 though. That's just the Scout Junior. I wish I had an electrician at work today. the top plate trapped between the dryer and the wall and wood. It was 7 walls. I'm having a stroke reading that. Hang on, let me relocate this. Let me just lower this just a little bit. There we go. Just paid $1,500 for a data guide to make sure we had outlets at each desk and 5 areas. Yeah, you can make some pretty quick money doing that. It's not that expensive to run data. Just takes a little bit of know-how and a couple of tools. What's upset, the electrician included it in his quote, and the last second he cut out to do it. Dang. And they cut out the security. Agree with your assessment on Klein. Is there better? Yes, but it's more than capable. Yeah, it's very capable. There's definitely better out there, and they know it. They're not trying to be anything special. I can tell you right now, though, it might be an accident how good this is. I don't think Klein even knew how good their toners were going to be. This is the VDV 500-063. And this is the VDV 123. And if you ever get a toner, you got to make sure that it's got that strength light. If this doesn't have the strength light, man, that's going to be a big, very, very upsetting if there's no strength light on this. So there has to be a strength light. If this does not have a strength light, it's a step backwards. I can't imagine it not having it, but you never know. Actually, you know what? I'm so curious right now if there's a strength light on this. I gotta know. So we're gonna open it. This is one of the first things Klein sent me was this knife. And while it's not the best for stripping cable, it can still strip cable. But obviously a razor knife is going to be the weapon of choice when stripping cable. The blade is just always going to be a disadvantage because of how much thicker it is than a razor knife. But man, I've been using this knife for just about everything. I think I was cutting some foam with it the other day. I was splicing Romex, just cutting into it, after I ran it. Some very good packaging. Wow, that is some very good packaging. Hang on. They make it so hard to open this stuff now. I don't really want to cut this bag, but I won't be surprised if I do. I did cut the bag a little bit. Damn. It's okay, we never use the bag anyway. Okay, so we got a little patch cable for the Ethernet. It comes with batteries. I need to save this backer piece for the next video. Yeah, we gotta save that. That's the generator. Here's the probe. We need a control screwdriver of such something. It's a little number 1. It's a small thing. Does it matter? Is there a little washer on the back of this so the screw can't fall out? Yeah, the screw can't fall out. That's nice. We can use this toner with any generator. Okay. I'll check the chat here in a second. Ooh. Okay. It's got a lot of lights on here. Let's see if it's got the right one. Tone. Volume up. Ooh. Oh, actually, you know what? This might have a better. Okay, so the sensitivity is here in the lights. Oh, that's nice. Let's see. Yeah, that's nice. And then, of course, we can even make this stronger by attaching this to a true ground. Do I have a true ground here handy? I don't think I do. We can use this one to show you guys. We'll just don't do this at home, of course. Well, unless you're a technician. But we're just going to cram a ground wire inside this hole here to show you guys how this works. Okay. Got the ground wire there. Now we're just going to attach to the ground here. And I'm going to hang this toner up here like that. All right, so you see here we are about 1 inch away. And we're at a level 5. Right? If I unplug this ground, we're about 1 inch away and we're at a level 3 or a 7, depending on how you're looking at it. So we don't get to level 5 until we're about almost touching it. So by attaching the ground in here, we get more signal strength. You can hear the difference too. And now when we touch it, we are almost maxed out. So that's the power of attaching a ground to this versus just tracing without one. So this looks like it has what it needs to have. Also has a little light built in. Let's see if we can turn that on. Did we tap it once? Yeah. So we got the light built in. That's cool. 3 seconds, turn it off. How do we turn it off? Yeah. That's on. 1, 2, 3. 3 seconds turns it off, and then it's got, I don't know what that is. We'll have to read the instructions maybe for once. It looks good though. So this is the alternative here, where we're tracing by this little pulse here based on the signal. So before, we were looking at the pulsing like this. And then it was just getting brighter. So this actually seems like a huge improvement. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, good. Yeah, that looks really promising. We didn't even try with their new fancy toner generator. We only played with the wand. So there'll be another video on this completely here pretty soon. But this is the VDV 500 163. And this is the VDV 500 223. But if you're curious and you don't need all the LAN capability or all the fanciness, this toner and this generator can get you by absolutely as a professional. And this is better than a Fluke. This is probably better than the Tempos. This is going to be my favorite toner. And this one has the light. And this one is the 123. This one's the 123. And the VDV 500 063 is this set. This set's like 80. That set's like 120, I think, or something. And I told Klein to send me this. So I don't know if I put in the description or whatever you're supposed to do with YouTube that the video is sponsored, but you could call this video sponsored if you wanted to. It doesn't matter. I've been using this stuff for too long to claim a shill, so it doesn't matter. Let me check the chat. Explain why it tones better if you have a true ground. I just did. Oh, the technological reason why it tones better if you have a true ground. It's almost like a radio tower where there's a word for it. Don't get me lying about it, but it uses the earth to amplify the signal. Someone way smarter than me down in the chat can explain that. Maybe George Ordway can explain that. I've been meaning to look that up, but also I don't want to just look something up and then proclaim it like I knew it all along. I'd rather have somebody else explain it that's got the background on radio signaling, or at least be more familiar with it than me just tell you some random fact that I don't even know anything about or verified or even really know the science behind it myself. I don't want to just tell you something to tell you. Been having good luck with the ideal. Oh, dude, the ideals are good though. The ideals are good. I've used some of the $700 ideals, the Sure Traces, but that's not a toner. That's a circuit tracer. And then if you want to talk about circuit tracers, for $230, it's hard to beat this. Really is. Joshua sent me that. That thing's been a godsend. The thing I didn't like with it about it doesn't have a belt clip like all the other ones, so I ordered the ISA adhesive clip, $5 from Amazon. Which one is that? Today I got the new Klein scraper flick blade. Oh yeah, I was looking at that. From electrician to data guy, what a shame. No, Fluke, no bueno. Let's see here. I'm trying to catch up with the chat. Oh, you use the test map stuff out. It's awesome. The wire was stuck between the studs and the drywall. Dang, Mike. What's up, Kansas? What's up, Colombo? Just got the Carlisle slip joint combination plier. Maybe your favorite pliers. Okay, I might have to check those out. Magnetic multi-screwdriver. Yeah, so that's pretty cool, man. We're gonna be driving to Ground Rod Live here pretty soon using this. And looking forward to it, actually. I'm hoping I can fit something in there. I first saw this and I thought I could get a ground rod in there. I don't know if I can now that I'm looking at it. So sometimes when you're banging on a ground rod and you got, your helper, what I usually do, I'll take a 2x4, I'll drill out a hole the size of the ground rod, or I'll put the 2x4 on top of the ground rod and I'll pound a hole through the 2x4. That way I can kind of hold the rod at a distance. So if this is the rod, coming through, I'm holding it at a distance. That way I can hold the rod still while my buddy's pounding the top, just like old times. But when I saw this hammer, I thought, oh, this is cool. This will double as, kind of a ground rod holder. Also a rebar bender. And it's got a lot going for it because, let's face it, if you're doing an underground job, this is your friend. This is what you've got. You've got this. You've got your recip saw, or you've got your little hacksaw. You got your Kleins. And you got a 10-in-1. And you just put that in your little bag that comes with all your power tools. And that's what you're walking around with. This is your friend. So, and your shovel, of course. You got a shovel. So this is something that hits home with me. No pun intended, being a hammer, but this is a tool that you got to have a good one and enjoy using it when you're out there and it's 100 degrees outside, and your only joy in life is using the tools that you got to keep you motivated. Basically, that's what kept me motivated in the trades, was new tools. So I think this is essential to be a wanted tool in your arsenal, and it looks really nice. So we're going to be trying it out. That's why I asked for it. I could ask for anything. I asked for a $20 hammer. Holding a rod is what apprentice is for. I'm holding the rod while apprentice is beating it. Tactics tested. Jamie, I'm not sure if he liked it. What is it? Anyone have the Klein yellow handle reversible jaw pliers wrench? No. No, I'll show you those. Hang on a second. Where are they? They're lacking. I'll show you why. The fact I don't even know where they are should tell you how I feel about them. Let me see if I can find them. Yeah, see, that's a screwdriver box. Let me see if they're out here really quick, and if not, oh, I know where they are. They're in my homeowner setup, because that's what they are. They're a homeowner grade tool. Okay. The reversing pliers wrench. What do I like about these? I like this button. I like that this button slides these up and down. The button's awesome. You don't have to worry about pushing up here, right? I like that they go parallel and they're just like a wrench, right? And they even close. Like they are a great looking tool for a plumber. Where they lose me for an electrician is that they don't come to a full close. So these are basically like an extension of my hand. If you have a bang-on caddy that you're needing to hammer on, sometimes you want to grab one portion of it with your channel locks while you're beating on it. These don't close fully, so that's not going to happen. They're kind of rounded over here. They're not completely flat, and they've got an extra kind of piece that's like part of the tool here. So you probably shouldn't beat on these. You probably could. But I want to be able to beat on my channel locks. So if I'm going to carry something, it needs to be acting like a hammer, where these are completely flat back here. And I've beaten on the same pair of these for years and years and years and years and years, with no issues. So this is something that I fully trust. I want to get my hands on the newer Klein channel locks, and I'll probably buy those next and review those, because NSW or NWS makes them for Klein, which is a really good choice. I think it's really smart that Klein kind of subbed those out, and that's a German company, so that should be good. I think these are probably an NWS variant. I don't know for sure, but for electricians, these aren't great. For DIY homeowner, you want a pliers wrench, and you want to be able to have like a pipe wrench, you know, and get something done. Pretty cool. Not great for electricians though. These don't belong on the electrician aisle. It's a mistake. Your cousin bought a home and needed a security camera installed to keep an eye on their kids. Went down and installed Cat 5 power and control. Parents working and tested. And letting kids. Yeah. 3/8 SDS for ground rods is what your thoughts on a fence post driver. Yeah, I bought myself a little custom. It was more of a T-post driver. They make a really thin one that's like tight, like 1.25 inches. Had a blue one. I beat the snot out of it so much I broke the handles on it, broke the welds off of it. Because sometimes you just use that to hit on top of the ground rod instead of just the ground rod itself. T-post drivers are great. As many tools as you can get. One of the last things that I built to drive ground rods, I got some 1-inch rigid. What did I do? It was 1-inch rigid, and then I screwed a pipe cap on it. And then I got some 1.5-inch rigid, and I put the 1-inch rigid inside of the 1.5-inch rigid. And I created like my own T-post driver, but all the weight was kind of on the vertical like this. And that way it would cup over the ground rod itself. And I had bolts drilled through. This is where I messed up because my bolts weren't strong enough. And while once you got the ground rod to a certain height, you could pop the pins out and then adjust the height of the internal slide rod. Erico, who makes the ground rods, also makes a driver with that same setup. It's like $300 though. I wanted to try to make my own. And what I ended up doing was bending the bolts and breaking the pipe cap. So it worked for about 20 different jobs, and then it just kind of fell flat on its face. But Erico makes a ground rod driver like that with the pipes in a vertical design, and it works well. I've used all kinds of things to drive ground rods. Sometimes when the meter's, you know, exposed, we'll just take an extension cord and just put it to the line side of the meter lugs and then plug in the hammer drill. It's all fun and games until your helper doesn't put one of the lines on the neutral, and he puts them both on the 240, and then you plug in your hammer drill and pull the trigger. So we stopped doing that because we had too many helpers not hooking up 120 to the temporary extension cord. They'd hook up 240 and burn out the freaking hammer drills. That got expensive, so we started having to go back to manual labor. How do I feel about the tough bill tools? I haven't had any of the screwdrivers or anything, but the keyhole saw looks pretty. The keyhole saws are very good, and the screwdrivers are very good. The screwdrivers have an awkward shape on the flare. So like this here will go in a standard slot, and this here will go in a standard slot. This here goes in a standard slot. The tough bill stuff is flared out just a little bit too much to kind of fit in those standard slots, so it got a little bit awkward. But the grips were nice and the tips were fine, and I like the tough built stuff. Nissan Knipex pliers, or however it's spelled. Yeah. For a small sub at least, your Cobras cost a lot. I gotta catch up with the chat. How much did you just cut off the end? Should have used a steel shaft, probably. Bring this Husky back and say you're removing something. It slipped and they hit the ground. Broken tools, but I never learned to use them to their ability. Man, if it's in my hand and I need it for something, it's going to get used for that, unfortunately. So a lot of this stuff, I'm really rough on my tools, but that's because I've been rough on them in the field and I know what to expect from them. We're really going to try this thing out. We're going to beat the crap out of this thing. I'm kind of looking forward to the milled face on this because it feels very textured and probably less likely to slip. That's kind of the idea of it. I'll just see if we can bust some off. What kind of hammer is that? What brand? It's a Klein, actually. Klein has hammers now. Probably rebranded. I don't know. But yeah, this is what we're going to try. Klein sent it to me. We're going to try it. We're going to try it out. It doesn't have anything on here that says K10. Is that a type of steel? It's a H8693. And I noticed this has a K13. No, K11, sorry. K11. Is that the type of steel? I don't know. But that's all I got. It's not my night to go live, but Klein sent me some stuff. I was too excited not to open it live. Before we go, I want to see what these pockets have got. So yeah, see, that's not bad, dude. It might be a little bit high. You might think the bag is high, but when you're carrying all your tools up the stairs and you want to fit as much as you can possible, this goes pretty hard. And then you've got slots here, and then these bigger slots need to fit. Yeah, so you got true multimeter slots here. If this fits, that's going to be awesome. Oh, that does fit. Yeah, so that's a big pocket. Oh, they left me a snack too, man. I like when they leave me snacks. Does that fit in here? Because if I could close that up, that'd be really nice. Oh, that's pretty awesome. And then this is really the side for the pliers because this is going to be a lot deeper. Yeah. Yeah, this looks great. I'm pretty happy with this. This already has more useful pockets than your standard Vito. And I could prove that pretty quickly, actually. For 120 bucks, not 300 for a backpack. This thing has all those pockets, and they're all useful sizes. Even the ones up here that look like they're only for screwdrivers fit large hand tools. So if we turn this thing around here, let me unscrew this. That's a $120 bag. That's a $200 bag. That's a $220 bag. We've got 2 pockets that you have to share to get tools there. You've got this lower one here, which is going to be not very much retention. So that's 2 pockets there. And then you've got this side here for 200. This one here has 2 here. This one here has 2 here. It's not double-sided. This bag here has a bunch of screwdriver slots, a bunch of plier slots. 1, 2, 3 plier slots there. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then more screwdriver slots here. And I can fit full-size tools that the base takes up down here. You can have a hug. Bye-bye. Good night. Bye. Love you. Mwah. Does it have? No, this is not that backpack. They have a tech backpack. This is not that one. I was going for the Veto Killer. I saw this about a month ago at Lowe's, and I almost bought it. And then when Klein reached out, might have an iPad slot actually. Is that an iPad slot? Let me go get an iPad. See how the Klein zipper looks floppy and the Veto does not. I do see that. Let's see. I think they're all YKK zippers. So this is going to this is not going to flop all the way open completely. Also, it's only $120. But I just did that one-handed. Now, if it would work like that once, you know, you have tools and it loaded up and you've been using it for a couple of months, that would be nice. But this is what I'd rather carry probably than a Veto myself for the job site anyway, just because it's not so bulky. I've got a video of a Veto. I saw a technician the other day, and he sent me a picture of his Veto, all of his loadout and everything. And we can compare it. Yeah, this definitely is nicer than Milwaukee, hands down on that. Is it going to last as long as the Veto? Probably not. But I think 2 to 3 years out of life of one of these is enough for me anyway. I'm going to get the next gen out. For the price, I think this is the one to get. Yours just never holds up. You use Veto only. Understandable. What industry? Electrical, industrial. I'm actually an electrical inspector now. But I did, I don't know, 5 years of industrial. I did about 10 years in the same company. I did 2 years of infrared. I've used all different types of bags and tools. So, used to do a lot of Dr. Pepper's, silk milk processing, Coca-Cola, water plants, Campbell soup, things like that. You see Flex on the workbench. Dude, the Flex is awesome. My first experience with Flex, because they were claiming a lot of stuff, right? They were saying a lot of stuff about Milwaukee. And I was a big Milwaukee fan. So when this came out, we put this thing through its paces. And I tried to destroy it multiple times. And we actually broke the chuck at one point on it. which is kind of a testament to how strong the tool is, not necessarily the chuck. If you're breaking the chuck, you know, that's something to expect as tools get stronger. Kind of like we're snapping bits now. I called them up and they just sent me a new drill. So the warranty stuff on Flex is kind of unbeatable. They don't even ask for your old tool back. Why is Klein in the middle or back of the house? The trade shows, they kind of like what, you know, Makita, where they've got their name out there. They don't have to be in the front. People are going to be looking for them. Unfortunately, I think that this newer generation doesn't really know who Klein is. They're a smaller brand that might not take off and go out of business one day. Been hesitant on the Flex. Yeah, it's been out for 4 years now. So you might have missed the security of it. I don't know. All I can tell you is that all of Flex's tools are very overbuilt, very strong, and worth it. As time goes on, there's been newer advances in technology where DeWalt makes a lot of sense right now. If we don't know what Klein is, what else would we be buying? You'd probably be looking at some of the other just garbage out there on Amazon. Aren't the Flex Ego? Flex is Shervon, so Shervon is Ego. So yeah, kind of the same thing. Blame Home Depot for the younger gen and not knowing Klein. Part of it's Klein, man. They should have fought for that space. But also, you know, Klein is what, $500 million a year? Milwaukee's way more than that. So Milwaukee's got a lot more cash flow than Klein does. Milwaukee's just kind of coming in and dominating the market right now. Whether it's good or bad, Milwaukee's coming in. So there's a couple of Milwaukee tools. I don't even have any Milwaukee hand tools here. I've got all the Milwaukee stuff because it works really nice. So that's good on Milwaukee to have these designs and stuff. I buy what works. Unfortunately, the mod box stuff works really well. It's really expensive, but it works really well and it looks nice. Also for the channel, dude, everyone knows what this stuff is. So this background here, I'm live. Someone sees this background, they're joining. Brands are catching up to the new guy. Availability is a big issue. Almost every store. Yep. My wire strippers are Milwaukee. Love them. Anything else of mine is Klein. And Bear, I could not agree with you more, man. This is my current setup right now. So this is a Vito. I kind of used it as a pocket stuffer. And then we've got our Milwaukee strippers here. Klein and strippers has always been something that has never really been amazing. They've been good and they work well, and I've used them for years, but they've never really been amazing. I'm looking for the Klein strippers right now. I don't even know where they are right now. Yeah, I don't know. Ideal is what I used to buy for strippers, pretty much. I think they lost out on the contract, man. Milwaukee said we're moving in and try to outbid us, pretty much. So not to be confused with Detroit strippers. Yeah. I regret going full-blown out Milwaukee. Everything I'm backtracking because some Milwaukee hand tools broke on me on the job. All hand tools are going to break on the job, but yeah, I agree with you, man. Milwaukee's was never really a great choice for hand tools. A lot of their stuff is very interesting the way they have it designed. Let me see here. Yeah, so here's a... Yeah, so I get criticism for this every time. I sanded this off. So I took a sander, made this round like it should be, and not angled because that's just stupid. So I had to fix Milwaukee screwdriver right now. This is rounded off because of me. Usually they have hard flats, right? And then whenever you're turning this and you go to put your thumb down here, your thumb is getting stabbed on like a sharp triangle. So I fixed that. The next thing that I had to fix, what else did I fix on this? Nothing. I think that's all I had to fix on this one. But the tips aren't terrible. You know, we beat on some screws on this just to see if we could break it. This thing is not focusing. Yeah, my camera is not wanting to focus right now. But this thing here being a triangle shape, I get a lot of people saying that this is, if you close your hand, what shape does it make? Yeah, you know, it makes a triangle or whatever. Look at your hand and then look at the triangle that it made, right? And everyone's like, yeah, sure, your hand makes a triangle, but not very many people are using screwdrivers down here, right? Because nothing is always this height. So now you're using a screwdriver up here when really you want to be using a screwdriver like this. And right now I'm fighting to keep on the flats of this screwdriver. It wants to fall out of my hand. You can see where it's kind of angled down every once in a while when I try to bring it back up. And if you try to do this fast with a Milwaukee screwdriver, you're going to see very quickly that it just does not work, right? You can't really spin this, which is how most people are using screwdrivers. And then, yes, you'll follow up Titan up here with a good Titan, and this is when it feels pretty good. But this right here, you can see where you can just spin this forever, right? And you got good control on it, however you're doing it, because you don't have any stupid triangles that you're trying to fight. So back here, you're just constantly trying to find that flat. Every time you turn, your thumb has to hit that flat. So it's kind of my 2 cents on Milwaukee screwdrivers right now. The better off with this design. It's okay. This part here gets pretty slick, and then it's grippy, and then it's slick, and it's okay. Craftsman tools aren't bad, man. I've got some Craftsmans that I kind of like. Paco does Israel, and I don't have any problems with that. Nice. Never depend on one brand. Do your research and buy the best tool in each category from multiple brands. Garage walls boxes are red, but inside the box is multicolored. Exactly. Exactly. Nothing beats Klein. There's very few things that beat Klein. I'm not going to say nothing. There's a couple of things that beat Klein. To where Klein has had to sub out. Like, this beats Klein. But maybe not any longer because NWS makes Klein's pliers for this type. So maybe not, but I wouldn't say nothing. I think Checkpoint makes better levels. But these aren't bad. They get the job done. Nipex is high dollar. I had to use both hands with my insulated Milwaukee screwdriver. To one hand on the shaft, the other on the handle. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It works. I mean, it's okay stuff. It's just they don't have people designing their stuff. It's kind of like whenever I reached out. Well, actually, Klein reached out to me. This is why Klein sent me stuff, in case you guys didn't know. Klein sent me these tools. They sent me this one. This one. Not this one. This one, Klein sent me this one, which I really like. I really like this knife a lot, actually. They sent me this hammer, and then they sent me this toner, right? And why did they do that? Because I made some videos calling out some of their stuff. So if you guys didn't know, this is one of their newer designs here. Bought this at the supply house with my own money for about $100. They wanted 120. I think I gave them 80 for it. I walked out of the supply house, then I walked back in to purchase it because I really didn't want it, but I also wanted it. So you've got 9/16 here, which is really useful for strut. Looks good on paper, and then you got to actually use it, and your 9/16 doesn't fit in the strut. See? So you go back to the original 9/16 Klein has. Fits in the strut. This is a 3/4 thin wall socket. It doesn't fit in the strut, so it never would. But if you had to get in there, you could get on there with a nut and go around there, right? You could get on there on top of a bolt. If you're mounting a 1/2-inch drop-in anchor, you could still tighten if you needed to. And they make, you know, shorter ones too. But the actual diameter is not going to fit in here. So my complaint was never really about the 3/4. My complaint was about the 9/16, because that's going to be by far the most used one that you're going to have. And then you go to the regular 9/16 socket, fits right in there. Want to use a 4-amp hour for drilling at a minimum? Yeah. Pain in the ass, yes sir. The new little mod box sets are a little bit cheesy. Yeah, I don't own any. So, other than my favorite knife for electrical work has been a cheap $20 pocket folder I got on Amazon. They use scalpel blades. Nice, nice. Yeah, I've seen that one actually. How are the PB Swiss screwdrivers? Never tried them. Yeah, these screwdrivers are fine, man. These are the Craftsman. The grips work really well. They got good grip everywhere. Nice and round. Very simple, cheap. Hardened. Hard to beat some of the originals. Really is. These are not bad. This is what I like for mechanic work. Okay, that's all I got. I gotta get. Wasn't planning on being here for this long. Try Koken sockets, crazy thin. Got a couple off Marketplace for $10 each. I will check them out. Koken's awesome. Okay. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. More Klein videos to come here pretty soon, because they sent us a whole bunch of stuff. So we got to make a video on these toners here pretty soon. I was kind of holding off to see what they were going to do, because they had me send them some SKU numbers, and I wasn't sure if they were going to respond or what they were going to do. They just sent me stuff. They didn't even respond. They just said, here you go, which was pretty cool. Before they had, you know, some correspondence back and forth. But this time they said, send us some SKUs and let us know what you want. And they just sent it right over. And I think that's pretty cool. So, yeah, we got to compare these two. And some other stuff. So we'll see you guys later. Appreciate it, Josh. We're in Texas, Josh. Don't tell me exactly where. I'm in North Texas. We'll see you later. East, right on. We'll see you guys later. You probably do industrial then, Josh, if you're in East Texas. We'll see you later. Take it easy. I'm going to wait to see what Josh says. All right, we're out of here. We'll see you guys. Custom home is nice, nice. Catch you guys later.